Hello everyone, and welcome to my review of the Hifiman HE400i pair of planar magnetic headphones. I'm choosing to start off this review with the box because this has one of the most impressive boxes I've ever seen come with any of the products that I've bought in my lifetime. So, just to start off with that, this leatherette box is what they come in. Now this is massive. This is quite big. I've recently sold a pair of HD600s. Those also come in a pretty impressive box, but they don't hold a candle to this box. This is the kind of box you would expect from £1,000 pair of headphones, and Hifiman is giving it to you for the HE400i. So that is one thing I will commend them for. Let's open it up. So a nice, very carefully constructed way to keep your headphones in here. Alright, a little velvety, little synthetic feeling foam leather mix. I'm not sure what that is, but it does the job if you need to move these headphones around. So, nice box. That's it, guys. Put it to the side. Now I can talk about the headphones themselves. These are my first pair of planar magnetic headphones. I bought these back in January. Open back design with the focus pads, mostly plastic construction, very light. For planar magnetics, these are extremely light. Okay, let's address the first thing in my mind. This is the updated revision of the HE400i. Hifiman for years and years stuck to those old proprietary cables that they had. People criticize them again and again, saying these things suck. They finally listened and they've updated the cables that they use. So these use 2.5 millimeter cables. And I have the cable right here. This 3.5 comes with an adapter, obviously. These aren't that portable, obviously. These are the two cables that get plugged in there. You can choose which side you want for left and right, it's up to you. But let's talk about the cable and how freaking short this cable is. You'd think for a headphone of this caliber, you would have a longer cable than this. This is like a portable cable. I don't imagine anyone's going to be walking around the town wearing these headphones because they're very open and you need a lot of driving power. And why? Just why? Why would Hifiman give out these cables? I don't know. Quality wise, I guess they're okay. I have been looking into aftermarket solutions for something longer, but I don't know. I'm a little disappointed with the cable. As impressed as I was with the box when I opened it and saw the cable, I was just as disappointed. But it works. Comes with it. Kudos for changing the jacks. No more of that screw-in proprietary stuff. Now the headphones themselves again. So this is an update of the HE400, which was, from my understanding, quite a popular pair of headphones and still is, even though they're not really sold officially anymore. Basically this improved the comfort of that and the overall sound difference. This is a little more neutral, I think, and just the build quality. This is also very light, and obviously the connectors are different. When I first plugged in these headphones, I thought to myself, I don't see what the big deal is. To that point, I had been using HD600 by Sennheiser primarily, and a DT990 600 ohm by Beyerdynamic. Now, I love something about both those headphones. I love the punchiness of the bass of the Beyerdynamic, and I love the smooth mids of the HD600. And I wish I could have combined them. Researching online convinced me that this would combine them somehow. And planar magnetics, which I looked up, means better bass response, better bass in general. So I thought, okay, all right. So as luck would have had it, I had a friend visiting Beijing over winter break, and I got her to bring these back for me. I bought these from Taobao, which is the Chinese online retailer in which Hifiman has an official seller. So from the official seller, they have something called the December deal something. I got it for a good price, let's just say a good price. And she brought it back here to the United Kingdom. So I plugged these in, didn't get what the hype was about. I thought it seemed a little muddy. I wasn't being rash with my thoughts, but I felt like maybe I had overstepped. Should have done a bit more research, should have looked into it more before buying these. However, within that same night, they cleared up quite well, and I started hearing why these get so many good reviews. And within the next week, it had become an immediate upgrade over my other headphones. Like, I know I've seen Zeus's review saying that this sounds like the HD600 to him. I don't quite understand that, because the HD600 is, I would say, a little better for vocals, a little better for mids, little better, just a little bit. But the bass on these blows those away out of the water completely. The bass on the HD600 is very rolled off. The bass on this, also a little rolled off, but nowhere near the same level. This actually has sub bass. The HD600 didn't have sub bass so much. The sub bass in this is quite pleasing. The mid bass in this is also quite pleasing. This has an overall very punchy sound, which was also on my Beyerdynamic DT990s, but these are less sibilant. The highs obviously are less obstructive. The bass is more filling, better bass than the DT990s. Definitely, because planar magnetics and those are some dynamic drivers. These beat those. So, soundstage. As you can see, a very, very open grill. Like, I'm not sure if you can see them, but you can see the magnets inside sometimes in the right lights. Anyways, so very open headphones. Okay, so open, but the soundstage is not incredible. I would rate these, if I had to compare those three headphones, the DT990 by far had the best soundstage. The HD600 was quite a few steps below the DT990, and this is a few steps below the HD600 in terms of soundstage. Imaging, it's okay, not the best. The accuracy of things you like. If I watch a ASMR video, the accuracy is okay. It's okay. You feel like the 3D sound and everything's okay, but it doesn't feel as present. It doesn't feel as accurate as those other two pairs of headphones, especially the DT990s. But the advantages of this is that it completely negated my need for those other two. After using these for a while, I decided, oh look, you can see the magnets. After using this for a while, I decided, don't need those anymore, and I sold them. I should have done a review before selling them, but I sold them. So this is the survivor of those two. Okay, so construction. What I like about this is that they're quite modifiable in this way. Yeah, you can just roll them around in whatever direction you want these in, man, seriously. And these are identical from the left and right, so you don't have to really worry about. My preference is using the thicker side towards the back of your ears, which I'm pretty sure is pretty standard practice now. But these focus pads are very comfortable. Focus pad A's, very comfortable. Like, I know why some people buy these and put them on their own headphones. Very comfortable. However, I wanted to try out the alpha pads, which are on my ZMF Vibros, because I did read a thread on our headphones saying that you should definitely, if you're using the focus pads, you're doing it wrong, which is a bold claim, and I wanted to investigate. So I took off these AirPads, which by the way is not that easy of a task. You need to be very careful because there's a ring that keeps these in place, and you don't want to snap that ring. If you snap that ring, you have to buy a replacement, have it shipped from wherever. It'd be costly, and you don't want to do that because otherwise you can't get the pads back on if the ring is broken. So take them off carefully. There's a YouTube video that explains that. I watched that and I took them off. But to my dismay, it turns out some of these have the ring glued to the focus pads. Now, it doesn't happen with all of them, obviously, because some people have modified those. But for mine, and for some other people online, the ring was glued to the focus pad. Now, that isn't good, because that means I can't switch out these AirPads for anything else. I'm stuck with these specific ones. And while they're really great, I'm still stuck with them, and I don't like feeling stuck. Like, this is why I don't use Apple products. I don't like feeling stuck with something. I want there to be a bit of leeway, a bit of modifying ability. Anyways, besides that point, the focus pads are still very comfortable. Very, very light pair of headphones. You can lie down and listen to this quite easily. They don't put any strain on your head. As you can see, you've got this leather strap up here. This rests on your head, and this keeps it nicely in place. This is made of aluminium, I think, very light metal. Plastic. Yeah, but not too cheap feeling plastic. Actually, it's pretty good, pretty sturdy. I would say worth the price in terms of build quality. Yeah, definitely worth the price. You could definitely, if you had a long cable, walk around the house with this. I don't know how some people like to listen to their music, but you could do that. Sound leakage, obviously there's a lot. And not only is there a lot coming out, there's a lot coming in, because I live currently in a room with the bathrooms attached and you can't turn off the exhaust fan. So you can hear the exhaust fan through the grill, even when I'm lying in bed quite a bit away from the bathroom. So little disadvantage there. Shouldn't be a concern for most people because I'm sure your audio setups in rooms are quite quiet. But yeah, the sound leakage definitely disqualifies this from outside use. You want a nice quiet environment because the sound itself is incredible. So before I talk about the sound quality, I like to just address one thing. This glossy finish is a huge fingerprint magnet. Like, as you can see, I keep wiping these clean, but they keep getting dirty because this is, if you pick it up and touch it, even if you have clean hands, doesn't matter. Fingerprint magnet, this glossy finish right here. Okay, sound quality. What do I like these for? What can they do properly? What do they struggle with? And overall, what do I think? This pair of headphones opened my eyes, to be honest. For years, late 2012 to mid 2014, my only really mid-fi, let's say mid-fi, because these are also mid-fi headphones that I owned were the DT990s. And I would enjoy them. I enjoyed the soundstage, I enjoyed the bass. The treble was a little harsh sometimes. I would tame it sometimes with EQ, which I haven't done since I stopped using those. I don't like using EQ. So, how did these open my eyes? Because I was advised properly about these. I wanted the mids, the lushness of the HD600s, but I also wanted the bass punchiness of the DT990s. This made me happy on both accounts. Even though the soundstage doesn't compare, it made me happy on both accounts. The mids in this are very lush. Listen to vocals, they'll sound very clear, very filling. You'll find the whole emphasis, especially if it's like, let's say something, for example, a cappella. Let's use an example, barbershop quartet. You will hear all the voices so clearly, and the bass voice guy, oh, it'll just be amazing. So you should check it out on, well, try and get a recording, download it if you can, but if you have to, check it out on YouTube with these headphones. Very nice feeling. Classic rock. I listen to quite a bit of classic rock. I enjoy Pink Floyd, one of my favorite bands. Led Zeppelin, I enjoy. The Beatles, all that sort of stuff. This does a very good job with those recordings, even though you'd think, well, what do you mean? I mean, you thought the bass response, that's what you wanted, right? Yes, but that doesn't mean that classic rock is devoid of bass completely. Like, you will hear more, like, for example, a song like One of These Days by Pink Floyd has two bass guitars being played, one with new strings and one with old strings. A bit of little anecdote I'm going to tell you. So they have these two bass lines, same thing playing again and again with a little bit of an echo effect. Very clear on this, very filling on this. You'll hear those channeled very nicely. It'll give you a very good experience. And another reason why it's good for classic rock is because the highs are very present. Coming from the HD600, this felt like a breath of fresh air. Like, I'm not trying to diss the 600 series by Sennheiser, but the veiled sound that people talk about, it is definitely there. It is a safety net. Things don't sound sibilant on those headphones, and that is why. They can sound sibilant on this, but if you keep it well within your volume, like, don't crank these or anything, but keep them well in a decent volume, these will sound amazing. The highs will feel nice. You'll feel a nice, accurate sound when it comes to, let's say, acoustic recordings, acoustic guitar from the right channel, from the left channel. I've recorded stuff myself, and I've used them, played them back on this. Like, when I record them, I use some studio monitors. But when I listen to them on this, it improves the sound, and I'm happy because I'm like, yes, this is neutral to an extent, but it's also very fun. These are fun headphones. And so you hear the clear separation, the very nice mids twanging along. You'll hear when the guitar player change frets, you hear that squeak. You know, that squeak of the fret changing. This will it won't stop you from any squeaks that might hurt your ears if you have it too high, obviously, the volume. But this will give you a nice feeling of, yes, this is how it should sound. I'm not being babied by a pair of headphones. This is the nice, accurate sound. Like I've talked about the mids and classic rock. For rap recordings from the 90s sound amazing on this. Ice Cube's first two albums sound great. Dr. Dre's legendary Chronic album and 2001 both sound great. The bass punchiness is there. There is a little roll off in the sub bass. These do have sub bass, but they don't go as deep as many further up the chain examples of headphones. The sub bass is a little cut off, little neutered, but the mid bass is very lush, very pleasant, and the sub bass that this has is, I would say, quite enough for most listeners of rap and electronic music. So 90s rap sounds good. Rap that has samples which are quite foolishly too sibilant, like the samples they choose too sibilant. Like, I'll give you an example. Not Afraid by Eminem, which is a song that came out in 2010. The snare sample he uses, I hate that on all my headphones. It sounds like a little gunshot in your head. Like, why would you use that? But this, yes, this will hurt if you listen to that song. Like I said, it won't baby you. It won't shield you. It'll show you the full treble spike of that. But if you keep it within the realms of good production, these are an amazing pair of headphones for those, sound quality wise. I've talked about the highs, I've talked about rap, rock music. Oh yes, rock music, not classic rock music, modern rock music and metal sound great on this. I listen to Machine Head. I listen to Metallica. I listen to Megadeth, Slayer. All of them sound great on this. There is a power behind the riffs because of the mid-centric sound. If you listen to the live shit, it's named live shit, recording of 1993 Mexico City concert by Metallica. It's very loud, very abrasive, but very, very, very nice to listen to on these headphones. You've got James Hetfield on guitar on the left channel, Kirk Hammett on the right channel, and then Jason Newsted on bass and Lars Ulrich on drums, all pounding away, running through songs like a runaway carriage or whatever it's called. These will keep up because these are fast. Yes, these are fast headphones. Their bass is very fast. The decay is very quick. They don't linger. No lingering in these headphones. The bass is very punchy, very fast. If you're listening to a song with double bass playing, this will keep up quite easily. This won't make you feel like, oh, it's kind of bleeding into each other, each of those hits. No, this won't bleed. This will just cut right through. Very efficient in that sense. What is a good pairing for these headphones? Well, I've been using a pair Shit Asgard 2, which is a solid state Class A amp by Shit, their company name, which is warm, has a warm sound signature. And it's not just me who thinks this, those go very well with this. Those make these feel warmer, make the power of the mids come out even more, and I would say that's a great pairing for this. But, in case you don't want to buy something specific like that, you can go to tube amps. You can use the Shit Lair, you can go to other tube amps, Little Dot and stuff. I'm sure this will sound great on all those things. I'm not sure if an Objective 2 would do well because it's quite bright sounding. I have never tried an Objective 2, but this can get pretty bright too. Like I said, it doesn't baby you. So an Objective 2 might be a little tricky. I would stick towards more warm sounding sources. But that being said, a transparent source like my Shit Magni 2, quite transparent, those play these just well. Just great. Great clean sound. Doesn't have the warmth that the Asgard gives, doesn't have so much of the power that the Asgard gives, but it still gives a very good neutral sounding but still punchy experience. The value for money. MSRP of these is probably in the mid to late $400. Late or higher, $400. But I'm not going to reveal how much I paid for them because I got them directly from Beijing, and their factory is actually quite right next to Beijing, and it was also a Chinese sale. So cancel those factors out. But I do believe you can find these for around $300 something on sale. You may even get even luckier and find them for $299 on sale. I think Black Friday had a sale last year where you could find these for $299. In England, these are around £370, which is quite a bit more. Like, we're used to things being more expensive here, but even that's... And I am basing this off of Amazon. The lowest price I've seen for these so far is probably £320 on some other website, which I've never used. British website. But I would say they are worth it. Definitely worth it. These are the lightest planar magnetics you will find. These are a very, very good listening experience. Like, you don't feel like you're missing out on anything listening to these. You don't feel like anything's rolled off too much. Like the bass, like I said, the sub bass is rolled off, but it's really not that much it's not as much as even I make it sound. It's very pleasing. Listen to any bass test, they go quite low. Listen to rap, you get the nice punchiness of it. I'd like to briefly compare it with another pair of headphones I got recently. Another pair of planar magnetics. This is the ZMF Vibro. Closed pair of headphones. I use these. I actually bought the Magni 2 to be used with this because the Asgard 2 was too warm for this. Kind of gave it a bit of too much bloat. So a nice transparent sounding Magni 2 on this sounds pretty good. I would listen to, actually I would prefer this for most genres. But this, even though it's a version 1, you can either get a second hand or you can get the version 2 from Zach and ZMF headphones. That's $480 without shipping. This is quite a bit cheaper than that. And these cover a lot more genres than these. These I use specifically for pop music. I would use these for rap music, for electronic music because of the deep bass and just the bassiness and the fun factor of it all. This is a better all-rounder. I must admit this is a better all-rounder. This will play any kind of music you want and you will feel it'll impress you, definitely. Mid-fi, mainstream brands, Hifiman is quite mainstream. Mainstream brands, mid-fi, I would say this is one of the best. One of the best headphones you can buy in this price range. And this price range, I'm not saying the full MSRP value. I am saying around $350. Best you can buy. Like, I'm sure of that. The Hifiman HE400i has really opened my eyes to what I want in the headphones. And I realize I don't want to lose bass. That's why these are so fun for me now. I got these after those. So I don't want to lose bass. I want everything to be quite clear. I want there to be a nice snap. Now what I mean by snap is when you hear the snare drum hit, you want there to be an impact. You want there to be like a snapping sound of like a really substantial hit. With these headphones, you do hear that a little bit, but it's a little bit of a thud because the highs are very rolled off on this. You don't feel that really, you feel the satisfying, the bass kick in this is more satisfying than on the HE400i's, but the snare is more satisfying on the HE400i's. That's pretty much how I would describe it. So even if I do give up these headphones soon, because I do have more plans on the way for more reviews, testing out more stuff, and I only have a limited budget, I have enjoyed my time with these headphones quite a bit, and I'm sure whoever I sell them to eventually will have great fun with these too. Even if they don't use an Asgard 2 and if they don't use a warm amp, these are very, very good mid-fi headphones. And that has been my review. Thank you very much for watching.